Hi there viewers, welcome to Revelation TV. This section is called Get Well, Stay Well. My name is Cyrus Fernando and once again delighted to be joined by the lovely Felicity. How are you?
Hello, Si. I'm fine and fully raw, as they say, because we're going to be doing a wonderful program today on raw foods.
Today is a nice light-hearted program, isn't it, Felicity?
It is. It's how we can really get really fit and exercise juices. And this is an amazing girl called Christina, and she's half Ecuadorian and half Lebanese, and she's made a great hit in America with really promoting the raw food diet. And in fact, she was raw when she was at college and then when she did her degrees, and so she's been raw many years now. She looks fantastic. And she's been mentored by a guy who wrote the 80-10-10 book, which is about the 80% is really the raw fruit and vegetables diet, and the 10 is a little protein, which we get from the nuts. It's all God's diet again. And the other 10 is from the natural fats that we get from the nuts as well, from the walnuts, and the wonderful things that God has provided for us. So really it's God's diet, but they're calling it the raw food diet. And she's terrific, so we're going to enjoy that.
So in your opinion, what are the main foods, or what is the raw diet?
Well, we go straight back to Genesis 1:29 and 30. And, you know, sin came into the world because of diet, because, you know, Adam and Eve ate the wrong things, and the whole thing stems from disobedience. And when we go back to the raw food diet, in fact, people get well. I did, so I'm a living example of it. And I just see so many people getting well, and I'm thrilled to have so many viewers, you know, ringing in last night on the donations night. That was wonderful. So hello to Margaret and to Olive and to David in particular. Had lovely conversations with so many viewers last night. It was great.
Okay, and apart from eating healthily, it's also important to take care of yourself physically as well, isn't it, with exercise?
Absolutely. And we've got a lovely clip about the exercise as well. And again, she's a role model for it.
Okay, well, let's take a look at our first clip that we have prepared today. This is by Christina, and this is how can we get a lovely flat stomach.
Hey you guys, it's Christina. Today I'm going to share with you my secrets on how to get a flat stomach in just 5 easy steps. One of the benefits of eating fully raw is that you not only feel physically better, you feel more confident, you feel more spiritually connected, but that you also get a rockin' bod. Now that it's summer and that everybody wants to be bikini ready, I thought this video would be a great one to share. I'm usually very modest in all of my videos, but today I will actually show you my full physique. And as you can see, I do have a figure, but I also have a flat stomach. I have shape, I have tone, and I still eat all of the fully raw fruits and vegetables that I could possibly ever care for. Getting a flat stomach does not have to be an awful experience. It can actually be fun and enjoyable, and it's much easier than you think. Are you ready? Here are my top 5 tips on how to get a flat stomach. Tip number 1, stay as hydrated as you can by drinking as much water or fully raw juices as possible. First thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is I drink 32 ounces of my vitamin-infused lemonade. This is really delicious and it's so easy. All you have to do is slice up some oranges, lemon, mint and basil, take them, put them in a jar with some water, soak it overnight, and when you drink it in the morning, it's fresh, it's crisp, it's delicious, and it's cool and refreshing for you to enjoy. It's very hydrating, and all of that lemon and citrus in the water helps to flush out your system and get things moving for the day. Keeping your bowels moving is one of the things that will keep your stomach as flat as possible, and hydration is the key to keeping toxins flushing out of your system. Tip number 2, eat as many fully raw fruits and vegetables in your day as you possibly can or that you possibly care for. A part of flushing things out of your system is staying hydrated. And yes, you can drink all the water in the world. However, staying hydrated with the foods that you eat is also important. Fully raw fruits and vegetables have natural sugars in them, they have fibers in them, they have carbohydrates in them, things that are going to keep your body moving and flowing throughout the day. And I'm not asking you to go fully raw, but challenge yourself and maybe try 1 to 2 fully raw meals a day. If you need any recipes, I have tons here for you to choose from. You could try my watermelon juice secret. You could try my soulshine juice. You could just eat a huge bowl of fruit, or even make an orange spinach basil smoothie. There's so many different options. It's as easy as eating a bowl of fruit or making a salad at night. Give it a try. Tip number 3, eliminate all meat and dairy from your diet. I know that this sounds daunting, and you may be wondering, well, why will eliminating that give me a flat stomach? But I will tell you that fully raw fruits and vegetables are filled with fiber that keep things moving and flushing throughout your system. Meat and dairy are animal products that have bacteria, hormones, and they're very low in fiber, which means they're going to stay stagnant in your stomach. They're not going to move easily through. They can be converted into fat a lot more easily, and they may cause weight fluctuation more than just eating fruits or veggies. If you guys need more scientific research on why this may be benefiting your health, I highly recommend the book The China Study, or even the awesome movie Forks Over Knives or Food Inc. If you guys are wanting to really challenge yourself and take this one step further, another thing that you could do is take out all wheat, breads, and pastas, or all gluten products. Tip number 4, do 10 minutes of easy ab exercises every day. You don't even need equipment sometimes. There are easy things that you can do around the house for just 10 minutes a day that will help build muscle, burn fat, and give you a flat, toned tummy.
Hi there, welcome back. Let's go through the benefits of eating raw, Felicity. Like number 1, feel confident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the way we're meant to live. This is the way the body is chemically and biologically designed to actually eat these wonderful raw fruits and vegetables, which give you the electrolytes in the body, which give you the water, the oxygen that the body actually needs, because our cells need to have these nutrients. This is why we call it the living food diet. So when we go back to the living food diet, the body actually starts to respond, one cell at a time, one organ at a time. So whether people have got cancer or diabetes or arthritis or whatever the disease is, it's always a wake-up call saying you're actually doing the wrong things to me, and I need to have the living enzymes that I need to work.
Now, it's something that we'll find, or let's say when we change our diet on how we feel, if we're not used to eating the raw food diet, or we're used to eating, say, cooked food, the moment that we change our diet, we just all of a sudden feel better, don't we?
Well, yes, you do, because the body unclogs, it starts to move, and you start to feel this great rush of energy. And I think that, in this very stressful world, that's the thing that people really want to have. They say, I just feel so tired all the time. I'm fatigued, I'm chronically fatigued. And of course, the longer that you've been on the cooked food diet and the processed chemical foods, the worse you're beginning to feel. And it becomes a bit of a vicious circle, because then, doctors will give you drugs, and the drugs make you more acid. And the body needs to get back to this wonderful pH balance that we've talked about so much.
Just explain to our viewers why we need to avoid having a cooked food diet.
Well, cooked food causes leukocytosis in the body, and for hundreds of years now we've been cooking our food more and more. And of course, with the cheaper processed foods and the ready meals, we've started having a lot of protein that we never had 50, 100 years ago, because things have changed dramatically, and our food is really being directed by the big food conglomerates. The cheapest food, is going out in these packaged meals that are loaded with the wrong fats, the wrong sugars, the wrong salts. And so people are really struggling with their health, really struggling. Sort of 1 in 2 gets cancer now. It's quite shocking. And there is this huge obesity epidemic as well, with people building up towards diabetes. So, and of course, heart disease is a huge killer as well, from eating the wrong fats, and we've done lots of programs on that. So what we have to do is come back to the essential fatty acids, which are in the good raw foods, like avocado, like coconut oil, and the spinach and cauliflower also have a little essential fatty acids in them. When we go back to that, the body really responds, and so the blood flows more easily. The heart doesn't have to pump so hard to push the blood through the crud, because the arteries and the veins are getting clogged up with the wrong fats.
Now, some of our viewers might be suffering from different sort of diseases, shall we say. Just explain to our viewers what you went through and how you had to be radical when you were doing the raw food diet.
Yeah, well, I lived, I was brought up in England and South Africa and Jersey and the Channel Islands, and of course the meat and dairy diet was the thing. Everything was cooked, and you know, my mother thought she was doing a wonderful job, you know, eggs and bacon for breakfast, and roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, you know, on Sundays, and roast lamb, the usual thing, and then you had mince, but every meal was a high protein meal. And the fact that it was cooked, you know, leads eventually to sickness, and especially in places where there's a high dairy industry, like Ireland and the Channel Islands, people are much more likely to get cancer. So in fact, 2 of my children had a problem with that. Also the chemicals in the well water in the farm where we lived. And my daughter died of, Hodgkin's disease, which she got at 18, and died after 2 years of real torture with chemotherapy and radiation. And then 11 years ago, I got pancreatic cancer. I was eating, obviously, the cooked diet that I was brought up with, and I was having a lot of coffee. And eventually, I had this terrible pain in my real solar plexus, and it was diagnosed as pancreatic cancer, a huge mass in the head of the pancreas, which was absolutely inoperable. So I learned the hard way, and the whole of my ministry now is really to teach people what I've learned as a health educator, and how I've developed from being a British Red Cross nurse, which was orthodox medicine, to being integrative medicine, which is where we have the best of the orthodox together with the complementary and alternative, and really going back to nature, going back to common sense.
Now, you having gone through having cancer and undone cancer, shall we say, you had to do the radical raw food diet, didn't you? You had no choice.
I had to be really radical. I mean, I couldn't keep anything down to start with, so it was no difficulty in cutting out food. So I was just glad to be able to keep water down. I had the lateral intravenously, and I could just have a little juices, and my husband used to make the carrot and apple juice for me, the green juice, and I lived on that, and I did the colonics as well. So then I learnt so much more on the scientific front by going to train in America as soon as I was better, because really I wanted to spread this message to as many people as I could, just like Christina does. You know, she's passionate about it.
Now, when people might think raw food diet, they might think boring food, not very tasty. It can be interesting, and you can make it tasty, can't you?
Oh, it's absolutely fabulous. It's the best food in the world. And really, when you do go out and you're given, you know, hotel food or restaurant food, it's just so heavy and disinteresting.
Where would be a good point to start if someone has never done the raw food diet before? Where would be a good starting point?
Well, you start by adding the good things. So you start by having the watermelon juice or the juices, but it's got to be fresh juice. It's no good buying the commercial juices that we have in the supermarkets, because they are loaded with preservatives and sugar. So you want to get a juicer of your own and start juicing. Otherwise, you can just start on avocados, eating those as your solid food, and go on to juicing apples or just eating apples, cucumbers, going back to God's food, really.
So that's covering tip number 1 from Christina, drinking water and having the juices. Let's go on to tip number 2, which is eat as many raw fruits and vegetables.
Yes, well, that's really important. That's all I eat now. When I go out, occasionally I'll have something cooked, but I really prefer to be completely raw. You know, the beautiful grapes, the avocados, the peaches, the pears, the bananas. I mean, bananas are the fastest food in the world. As you saw, I just arrived to do the show. I've got a banana in my hand, and I just have that. That's my lunch today.
Yeah.
And that will be quite enough for me. It's got potassium, it's got magnesium, it's got wonderful things in it.
Now, like we saw from Christina's video, she was talking about the natural sugars, the carbohydrates that we can get from the natural fruits and vegetables. Explain to me about that, please.
Well, they turn to glucose in the body, but it's the right kind of glucose that gives us the raw energy that we need, instead of the refined sugars, which are so damaging and cause diabetes. So when you have a mixture of the wrong fats and the wrong sugars, this is exactly how people build diabetes and heart disease and cancer.
Okay. Tip number 3 from Christina is to eliminate meat and dairy.
Yes, and you know, so many people find that hard because that's their culture. If you were brought up in a place where they just live on rice, you would not really want to have the things that British culture has. But this is the problem, that we're a meat and dairy society. And as people have got more civilized, of course, they've come away from farms, they've started relying on the supermarkets for food. So this is why we've moved on to really unhealthy foods. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a look at our second clip by Christina. This is talking about the importance of exercise and also the importance of not to eat after 7 p.m. or 3 hours before you go to sleep. Let's take a look.
My 4 favorite things to do are the following. One of the easiest ways to see results is by doing squats. A proper squat, you'll have your feet behind you, make sure your knees stand in front, and you'll literally just squat and come back up. As you do this, make sure to squeeze your bottom, squeeze your tummy, tuck it in, and pull upwards. My second favorite tummy exercise are bicycle crunches. All you have to do is lay down on your back and start hitting your elbow to your knee and go back and forth. Be sure to tighten up your belly, pull your belly button to your spine, and do this for 3 sets of 20. Number 3 is a little too easy, you don't even need to move. I love doing planks. A proper plank, you will just get on your hands and on your toes, flex your stomach, and hold this for 60 seconds straight. My 4th fun tummy exercise is jump roping. And you don't even need a jump rope to do this. You can simply jump up and down. But the secret to making this a tummy exercise and not cardio is by literally flexing your stomach the entire time that you're doing this and deep breathing. Trust me, this one works. Tip number 5, stop eating after 7 or 8 p.m. or at least 3 hours before you go to bed. Eating fully raw is also called the daylight diet. So you want to eat when the sun is up and you want to rest and sleep when the sun is down. Eating late at night can cause further binging, it can cause you to eat more than you would during the daytime, and you want to eat when you're active, that way you're using all of the energy that you're consuming. So stop eating after 7 or 8 p.m. or at least when the sun goes down. All right, you guys, that's it. Those are my top 5 easy steps on how to get a flat tummy. They're not too difficult, are they? But they will yield amazing results faster than you think.
Hi there, welcome back. The importance of exercise, like we mentioned before we saw that clip, is important to eat well, but it's also important to exercise as well.
Yes, it is, because it gets all the muscles moving and it keeps us fit. Also, it oxygenates the body. Really, that is the most important thing, that when we're taking in enough oxygen, which is being assimilated into the cells, you know, our cells have to breathe as well as our lungs have to breathe. All the cells in the body have to breathe, and I think that's something that people just haven't been educated about. But when we oxygenate, when we really go out for a walk in the fresh air, by the sea, somewhere healthy, in the woods where you're getting the oxygen from the trees, then the body will oxygenate again. So it's really important. If people are not well, they can start just bouncing a little bit and standing and bouncing or walking, even indoors.
Because some of our viewers might not be as mobile as Christina, shall we say, that we saw on the clip.
That's right.
Where would be a good point for them to do a little bit of exercise?
Well, as I say, you can just start by bouncing on the edge of the bed if people are bedridden. You can just start to get the body moving. Move on, if you can, to a rebounder, which actually moves the whole lymph system and starts eliminating toxins, because this is very much about eliminating the toxins as well as putting the good things into the body, because our cells are in a continuous process of regeneration. So they can only regenerate healthy cells, maybe healthier cells, when you change the diet, you get onto the good foods, and then you start eliminating the toxins out of the body. And as you do that, all the disease melts away.
Let me tell you from my own experience over the last couple of weeks, shall we say, I've changed the way that I am, my lifestyle. I've changed the way that I eat, and also exercising. I found it something so important. Before, I felt I'd never had the time because my day is so full and I finish at whatever hours in the morning, shall we say. But I feel if you make time, like I did, now I wake up extra early in the morning and go to the gym before I even start work or take my daughters to school or anything like that, then it's just a nice way to have an exercise in the morning. It's a nice way to start off the day. And for it, I feel so much better. And it works hand in hand, eating well and exercising, because when you're exercising, you're even more aware of what you're eating.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's all scientifically based as well. This is the thing, it's not just that we feel so much better, but we actually know we are. You know, the blood tests prove it, and the scales prove it. Everything works, and we start to really regenerate our health. And there's some really good DVDs, Forks Over Knives. Do you remember we did a show on that?
We did.
Which is really good with that fireman who's really fit.
Some of our viewers might not have seen that because they haven't seen it, let's say. Explain to our viewers, what is Fork Over Knives?
Well, Forks Over Knives is a DVD that people can get, and they can see clips on YouTube as well. And it's really amazing how people need to take the exercise and eat right. And the guy who was in this particular clip that we showed is a fireman, and his father is one of the top cardiac surgeons in America, and he is now teaching his patients that they can actually heal themselves long before hopefully they get to him having to operate on them. As a cardiologist, he's telling them to change their diet first, and like Bill Clinton, who'd had 2 heart bypasses, they can actually avoid having more surgery, because when you have surgery for the heart, you know, it's a very dangerous surgery to undergo for a start. And also, if you are actually clogging up the arteries with your food, and then you have a little bit of artery removed, and so that you're overcoming that blockage, you're only going to block up further down the pipeline. So it only makes sense. And Caldwell Esselstyn is the name of the cardiologist, and another cardiologist who I work with called Dr. Dean Ornish, they've both written lots of books. And really this is the kind of research that people should do if they've got a heart problem. And they will learn that really, you know, the surgery makes a lot of Porsches and Lamborghinis for the doctors, but it doesn't make a lot of health for the patients. And it's so much better to get, as you're doing, you know, a pair of running shoes, get out there, get to the gym, do some work, and avoid this thing in the first place.
I mean, the beauty of today with the technology that we have available to us is you can literally just go on your computer and go on the internet and do all the research yourself, can't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it just needs someone to inspire you, to, you know, to open up the mind, really. It's education, not medication.
And how important is it to work with your doctor?
Well, it depends how trained your doctor is, and if they're trained in nutrition, if they know what they're doing, then you make a wonderful team with them. And if you're with a doctor with a closed mind, then you need to do something about that.
Let's talk about our eating patterns, shall we say. What would you say is the advisable time before we go to sleep, or the latest time that we should eat in the evening?
Well, you know, when I was in America, I made a wonderful film with Paul Neeson, who has a very big American show. And he's written a book called The Daylight Diet, which I found absolutely fascinating, because from around about 12 noonday, you should start to have the first meal for 8 hours, which takes you up to 8 o'clock at night, and that's the time when we should actually be digesting. Then the next 8 hours we should be assimilating, and then the next 8 hours we should be eliminating. So in fact, at the breakfast time that we traditionally have in the West, you know, we have an egg and bacon or something fairly substantial. But in fact, the body is still in an elimination cycle until noon. So if you just have the juices in the morning or the fruit, like Christina was showing, the watermelon, and that's all I ever have in the morning until noon. And then I had a banana when I came in, which will be my lunch. So this is how we can get the body back into that daylight diet. So after sundown, basically how it used to be, we didn't have electric lights, you know, people would actually probably go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it was a much healthier way to live. But the 8-hour cycle is really good, and look up Paul Neeson and the daylight diet.
It's interesting, the later that you eat at night, the more hungry that you are, and you're never, it's like your stomach will never be, it's never full, shall we say. You always want to try and pick out on something else naughty, and continue, and you're never completely satisfied, are you?
Well, you see, the food cravings are really for sugar, and if you have enough fruit, you don't have a fruit. You don't have a sweet tooth craving anymore. If you have enough fruit, if you have enough vegetables, you don't get that craving for salt. So this is the way that the wonderful raw food diet really works. You are away from cravings. I don't crave these things anymore now.
Okay, well, let's take a look at our next video. This is about the raw food diet. This is with Christina and Dr. Douglas Graham.
Hey you guys, it's Christina, and I'm here with the one and only Dr. Douglas Graham. And Dr. Graham has been an incredible mentor for me throughout the years. He is the one who has inspired me to start promoting fully raw and to inspire this lifestyle to others. And he has been just like a father to me. So I'm really honored to have him here with me today, and I really want him to share with you guys what the best raw foods diet is out there and what is 80-10-10, because there's so many people out there who want to go fully raw, but they don't know the proper way to do it so that their health is skyrocketing in many different levels, like primarily so that they can have the best athletic performance ever, so they can feel their best, and so that they can share this with others. So, Dr. Graham, can you please share with us what the best raw foods diet or lifestyle is out there?
Well, I know what works for me, and I know what I've seen work for countless people over the last 35 years, and invariably it's the same over and over and over again. What I see is people really, really thrive when they eat fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are health foods. And when we focus in and we start talking about, okay, fully raw Christina, or 100% raw 100% of the time, when we're really trying to eat all raw all the time, the stuff that is raw is fruits and vegetables. This is the makings of a raw food diet. Because essentially, when people go off a raw food diet, they're trying to eat raw and then they find themselves off somehow. It's always the same. It's always one of, or more than one of, 5 cravings. There's really only 5 cravings that people tend to have. And yes, you might eat for emotional reasons, this, that, or the other, due to some short-term trauma, and we've got to deal with those emotional issues. But as far as nutritional, as far as food, as far as diet goes, there's only 5 cravings that we tend to experience, and 4 of those are telling us that we haven't had enough fruit, which I think is telling in and of itself. If you're craving sweets at the end of the meal, you didn't eat enough fruit at the beginning of the meal. If you're craving any kind of concentrated, refined sugars, if you're craving sweets in between meals, whether it's chocolate or candy or alcohol or even dried fruit, if you're looking for fruit or sweets in between a meal, then you didn't have enough fruit at the last meal. If you're looking for something heavy, you're thinking, well, you know, I had a meal, but now I really want to eat a few nuts or a lot of nuts, or I'm just going to hurt myself with nuts, and after that's all done, I'm still going to be looking around for something sweet because the nuts didn't do it. I just thought I wanted something heavy. well, then you didn't eat enough fruit at the meal, and if you eat enough fruit, you won't find that craving for something heavy come on at the end. And of course, if flour and water, from which we make paste, if flour and water, bread, rice, pasta, corn, potatoes, if starchy things look to you like food, then you didn't eat enough fruit, because paste shouldn't really look like food. And if we hide the fact that it's paste by adding eggs, and so we make pasta, or we try to hide the fact that it's paste by adding eggs and sugar so that it's pastry, we realize nobody even made much of an effort to hide the fact that it was paste, did they? It's still pasta and pastry. If bread, rice, pasta, corn, potatoes, or any other starchy foods are alluring to you or calling your name, then you haven't been eating enough fruit, and it's a surefire message that you need to eat more fruit in order to meet your nutritional requirements. The only other craving that people tend to experience is that for something really salty. They go, I really like salty things, I want to have more salt, I need more, I want that salty texture and hit. And if you're ever needing salt, it's a sure sign you haven't been eating enough vegetables. Up your vegetable intake, and I don't care which vegetables, but up your vegetable intake, and you'll find that the cravings for salt go away completely.
Hi there, welcome back. Explain to our viewers in your own words about the 80-10-10 diet.
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? The 80 is supposed to be the vegetables, the fruit and the vegetables, and the 10 is a little protein with nuts, and the other 10 is the right oils. So when we go back to that, my goodness me, the body just loves it, and you feel amazing. You get this energy, and whatever your problems are, whether they're heart problems, cancer, diabetes, whatever, they will go. You know, Dr. Gabriel Cousens does this wonderful 30 days raw thing where he gets all stage 2 diabetics off their meds and gets them really well again, which is amazing, because doctors in the UK are telling people, oh, once you've got diabetes, you know, you're on meds for life. But get on Gabriel Cousens and the Tree of Life in Arizona and just read the diet. You don't have to go there, you can read about it. And he's doing exactly the same thing, going back to raw foods. And so people go and stay there for 30 days. And it's tough if they've been addicted to the wrong things. But of course you've got the backup of the people who are there. You're having the blood tests every day to make sure that your blood sugar levels stay right. And you gradually ease off these medications. You can never do it without having the blood tests done at the same time.
If we have some of our viewers watching today's program and they say, wow, this raw food diet, I have to try this, but it seems daunting, it doesn't look very tasty. Let's try and excite some of our viewers with some really delicious recipes from the raw food diet.
Oh, well, just go on the websites, Raw Amazing, and you'll see the most wonderful foods, you know, like the ice cream, the banana ice cream, which is the one that I usually seduce people into the course with, you know, especially the children, because they love putting the frozen bananas in the juicer and seeing this wonderful ice cream come out. And you can have that in any flavor, because you put berries or pineapple in with the banana, and it makes the most delicious food. For instance, if people love steaks, you can have mushrooms instead. You can have mushroom steaks. So it actually looks like a steak, because it's the brown mushroom, you know, which you've maybe, you can have it raw, or you can actually put it under the grill for a moment or two. The thing is, you can't go completely raw, absolutely cold turkey, or most people can't, unless they've got a big medical problem like I had, and then I had to do it. But to ease in there is the best way to do it.
I think that's what we're trying to get across to our viewers today. If they want to change their diet, they can, and not to be intimidated, shall we say, by the, you have to go 100% raw straight away, eating only fruits and vegetables, and cut out all the other foods that they're used to. It's a progress as well, isn't it?
Well, imagine if people even do 51% on its side. What a difference that would make to the body, you know. And as soon as you see these exciting changes, you see the weight going, you see the cellulite disappearing for the women, you see the you know, the headaches are going, and the arthritis is going, and you begin to think, my goodness me, this is so exciting, and then you get really, really enthusiastic.
Now, you mentioned you do the banana ice cream with your children. How important is it that we have our children eating the right foods as well?
Well, it's vital, and of course the first 5 years are really important. So, yeah, they will eat what you put in front of them actually when they're little, because they don't have an option. They're hungry, and if they only have avocado pear offered, they will eat the avocado pear. And actually, avocados are the most delicious thing on the planet to eat.
Sometimes with children, it's what they see on the plate determines whether they're going to eat it or not. What would you advise to the parents out there that want to get their children to start eating healthy?
You've got to make it look pretty, but the great thing is to let them help prepare. Because when they're involved, you know, and they're cutting up the tomatoes, they're cutting up the any of the fruits and the vegetables, the broccoli, for instance, you know, they will be so interested, and you can explain to them how the little florets on top of the broccoli actually look like cells in the body, and so you're feeding the cells. They all want to be big and strong, don't they, when they're little? You know, the great thing is be big and strong like Daddy, and you tell them this is the way they're going to do it. And of course it's true. It is absolutely true.
Dr. Graham, mentioned if we crave sweets at the end of the meal, then we did not eat fruit in the meal.
That's right. And this is why a lot of people are alcoholics, because they crave sugar. And if they're unhappy, of course, you know, then you crave to blank out. So this is really a huge thing, that if people can have the fruit and satisfy that craving for the right sugar in the body, they'll find it much easier to ease off the alcohol as well.
Today we all live very busy lifestyles, and people are working, they're looking after their family, their house, etc. Now, what would be a good, easy recipe for them to use that they can prepare maybe in the morning, doesn't take too much time, and then that just sets them up for the rest of the day?
Well, to make a great big jug of the green juice and then cap that off so it doesn't oxidize during the day. The green juice is your basic, because most of us are too acid. That's why you know, acidity is the cause of disease in the body. And with stress, we're all acid. So when we go back to getting the pH back to 7.365 or as near that as we can, the body will respond, and we start to feel really healthy again, because the blood has to be back to the right level of pH. When we are acid in the blood, this is when we start getting real problems with disease.
Okay. What about how much weight could you lose potentially by just changing your diet?
Well, you'll go back to what you should be. You know, you can't say how much people are going to lose. No. They will lose what they need to lose, and then you will get to the right size. I never weigh myself. I never even think about that, and because that becomes a sort of a fad, and it really doesn't matter. It's how you feel in the body, how your clothes fit.
That's what it's down to, isn't it? Is when you change your diet, you feel great. You don't feel you need to be conscious or in any way. You just feel good.
You feel great, and then you're taking the exercise as well, so you're building up muscle. And so really you have to do the two things at the same time. That is the recipe for get well and stay well. So.
Okay, let's take a look at our next clip. This is about eating fruits and vegetables.
Pretty much by the time you eat fruits and vegetables, not only are you happy with your food, you're healthy, you're holding your weight, you're clear thinking, you're athletic as you can be, you're basically unleashed. And, you know, to me, being healthy is what makes the parameters of, you know, is this a good raw food diet, is it not? If you're feeling healthy, with the average American missing 18 days of work per year due to sickness, you want to have high productivity, you got to be healthy, you got to eat your fruits and vegetables.
So a high fruit-based diet, a low-fat, raw vegan lifestyle essentially is the best raw food diet. And you wrote the book 80-10-10, yes, which essentially says that 80% of what you should be eating should be carbohydrate from fruit-based
Sure.
calorie sources, right? Because if what we are using all day is energy, then what we must be replacing is energy, which is why we eat mostly fruit in the day. And then we have the other 10%, which is protein, and other 10% fat. Would you mind touching a little bit more on that?
Well, yeah, it's pretty straightforward, really. I'm looking actually to keep more than 80% of calories coming from carbs, and 10% is the absolute limit on protein and fat. Now, as far as protein, most people are worried, you know, is that enough protein? But the average in America consumption of protein is about 11%. So recommending 10 is not a radical idea. We understand it's been proven in sports science, it's been proven in health science, it's been proven in medicine. As far back as 1959, in the Journal of American Medical Association, there was data showing that a high-fat diet results in diabetes. Today, if you go to YouTube, you can find a medical doctor who's got a video out who says if you want to become a diabetic in 6 hours, all you have to do is eat a bunch of fat and your blood sugars will go out of control. We understand that when blood fat levels rise, when dietary fat intake increases, that your ability to uptake, transport, and deliver oxygen and fuel to the cells drops dramatically. Well, if you can't get oxygen to your cells, you're setting yourself up for cancer. If you can't get oxygen to your cells, your muscles don't work very well. If you don't get oxygen to your brain cells, then you get sleepy, you just get amotivated. You know, I mean, you basically are almost useless. The whole concept of a breath of fresh air was because there's more oxygen in the outside air than there is in the used up air indoors.
Absolutely.
If you can't get enough carbohydrates to your cells, well, then your muscles can't function properly, your organs can't function properly, nothing works the way it's supposed to if the cells aren't getting the sugars that are running through your bloodstream. Meanwhile, if those sugars are on the rise in your bloodstream, then we have a condition known as diabetes. This is taking people down left, right, and center. According to the American Diabetes Association, they say that if we just keep doing what we're doing, by 2050, all Americans will be diabetic. I mean, this is not the road we want to go down. So the sports scientists tell us to reduce our fat intake down to about 10%. The health leaders in the vegan movement and the vegetarian movement and many areas within the mainstream dietary movement are telling us keep our fat intake as low as possible. Nathan Pritikin made a name for himself back in the 60s by healing people with all kinds of diseases, but simply by putting them on a vegan diet that was about 7% calories from fat. The longest study ever done on nutrition is the Framingham study, and in the Framingham study it was clearly demonstrated that low fat provided the best results in terms of heart health. The largest study ever done on nutrition was the China study. T. Colin Camber, one of the world's leading nutritional researchers, and he demonstrated not only that fruits and vegetables are the best foods for us, that raw foods are the most nutritious for us, but he fully endorsed the numeric value that he referred to as 80-10-10. He's a strong supporter of the 80-10-10 diet.
Hi there, welcome back. Felicity, I just want you to explain to our viewers about how when we eat the right foods, how it affects our emotional state as well.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. It's amazing how much lighter you feel in spirit and mind when you are on the right diet. And you know, Jesus fasted, and we all know that fasting is part of the religious systems of many, many different religions. And Jesus did his 40-day fast. It's really important to keep rehydrated while you're doing something like that. But we need to eat much less than we've started eating in the West. We're really, sadly, over-nourished with the wrong things. So it's empty calories that people have been filling themselves with, which satisfies the body. The tummy feels full. So you sort of feel, well, I feel better because I've had some you know, a hot milky drink, and I've had egg and bacon or something. But after that, you have this great energy low, because the things that you put into the body have filled the stomach, but they haven't actually given you the living enzymes. So isn't it funny how all these studies, you're talking about the China study, the Framingham study, which we did a program on as well, all these studies come back to, guess what? God's word is right in Genesis 1:29 and 30. And you know, people, we all have choices. God gives us choices. And people have always chosen to do it my way, like Frank Sinatra used to say, you know. And so we've chosen to have all this rich food. We've chosen to treat the animals badly and, you know, put them into processed meals. And my goodness me, we have reaped the consequences of that. There's always consequences when we go against God's word, as we've all discovered. So we come back to the perfect diet and people do get well.
Okay, and they stay well.
And they stay well, praise God, yes.
Let's break this down to our viewers. 80% get the calories from the carbohydrates.
That's right, that's the fruit and the vegetables. So the beans, the peas, all the beautiful fruits and vegetables, yeah.
Okay, and the 10% protein?
10% is protein, so you get that from the nuts, and the other 10% is the oils. So you're getting that from the nuts and also from some of the vegetables. As I said, the spinach, the cauliflower, the broccoli has the right kind of fats in it, the right kind of fats and not the bad fats. And if people are finding it difficult to come off fats, then you're better to put a little butter on your beautiful vegetables than to use the trans fats, because we now know scientifically that it's the, the trans fats that have caused so much heart problem and cancer. So the trans fats are the ones we thought were really, you know, so healthy. They were the hydrogenated and hydrolyzed, the corn oil, for instance, which is put into all the processed foods, because of course it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. But if people need to have a little, you know, have a little cooked vegetables, have cooked broccoli, but don't cook it to death. You know, you just literally warm it enough to make it a little bit softer, and do lovely herbs with it.
Okay, great. Let's take a look at our final clip. This is called Health is Beautiful.
Just yesterday I read a study that was done where the test was strictly about diet and coronary health, and the conclusion was that your risk of coronary disease went down approximately 10% for every piece of fruit that you ate per day. So it's like, eat 10 pieces of fruit, you're in a pretty good plan.
Yes, absolutely.
And more than that, and it just gets even better. So.
And I will tell you, this man has eaten more fruit than anybody else on the planet. He's eaten like 35 million pounds of fruit. Where did it go, Doug?
Eventually, it all ended up in the same place.
Absolutely. So if you could share one fun thing with our viewers, one of the funnest reasons about going raw, or something that they can enjoy about going raw, what would it be?
Well, because health is the most beautiful thing in the world, it's also the most sexy. Nobody trying to be sexy.
Fruit is sexy.
Shows you their scars, you know, or has rolls of fat hanging over them. Health is the sexiest thing. Health is the most beautiful thing. Health is our natural state.
Health is beautiful.
Yeah, and it's a high performance situation when you have your health. I just think that everybody ought to go to health.
Yes, and so the best raw food diet that you can adapt is one that is heavy in fruit and heavy in greens and in vegetables and very low in nuts and seeds. If you guys haven't already, please check out Dr. Graham at foodandsport.com. You guys can also read his amazing life-changing book, 80-10-10. I'm so glad to have him here. If you guys love raw food and if you love the message that we've spread today, please give this video a thumbs up.
Oh, by all means, and just know that in America anyway, in the United States, you can go into any public library in the country, ask them to please get you a copy of 801010. Our book is on their list. They'll get you a copy. You can have read the book for free. And meanwhile, everybody else that goes into the library can read the book for free too. So I mean, I'm not trying to sell you something. You can read the book for free. Give 801010 a fair shot. Give it a month, give it a year, whatever you think is fair. By the end of a month, you won't be going back. Fruits and vegetables take you where you want to go.
Absolutely. Dr. Graham, I want to thank you for changing my life and being here with me and for helping to share this amazing message.
It's my pleasure.
We all love
truly.
you.
Thank you for doing what you do and reaching out to so many people. And
you guys are awesome.
Living the part.
If you guys need more tips, tricks, or recipes on how to go fully raw, please subscribe here to Fully Raw Christina as we have fun in the kitchen and as we have fun with amazing individuals spreading the message about health. We hope to have you here soon again. Have a good one. Hugs.
Bye-bye.
Hi there, welcome back. Felicity, I just want to get your thoughts on organic food.
Well, organic's really important because so much is now sprayed, and the pesticides and the fertilizers have caused so much mayhem in people's lives, and also the genetically modified foods, of course, that have made people so ill. So really I put all this together in my Lighten Up, Stay Light course, which is a little email course that people can download from my website. And I just want to see people get well, because, you know, I think the Revelation viewers are the most intelligent viewers in the world, actually. When you get to chat with them, as I did on the phones last night, they've got a really good idea of what's going on in the world, and they want to make the most of their lives here, and you know, they're really interested in health.
When we talk about the raw food diet, and if one of our viewers was to go into a supermarket and get some fruits or vegetables from there, and they were to cook it, it would take away all the chemicals. Now, how important would it?
No, it won't take away the chemicals.
Okay. Let me ask you.
That's why we need organic food.
Exactly. Yeah. And just please reiterate to our viewers the importance of organic food.
Well, because things have, you know, everything's about money in this world, corruption and greed. And so the food is actually produced for sale. It's not produced for our particular health. They're not, the government and the food industry is not worried about us getting healthy. They just want to make money, basically. So you have to wake up, you have to get educated, you have to start understanding about organic food and why it's so important to do it. Because the amount of chemicals that are now sprayed on the food, fed to the animals before some people eat the animals, you know, this has really caused this huge epidemic of health, of terrible epidemic of disease and health breaking down.
Okay, Felicity, well, sadly we've come towards the end of today's programme. Thank you again for joining me. I'd like to remind our viewers that we have a catch-up service on Revelation TV. We have covered so many videos and discussed a lot of different topics on today's programme, so please do log on to our website, which is www.revelationtv.com. We're on Facebook as well. We're on social media, so that's facebook.com/RevelationTV. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/RevelationTV. And we also have some videos on YouTube. So our YouTube page is youtube.com/RTV Europe. Thank you very much, viewers, for once again for joining me. Thank you, Felicity. And just in a few words, just briefly, just give your final message to our viewers, please.
Well, people can email me if they want to know more about this. They can download the e-course, and they can also come and spend a week. But the greatest healing is salvation. So that's what we're doing on Revelation TV.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, viewers, if you're watching us live, we'll continue with this section. We'll continue with your emails and your text messages, and your text messages. So please do be encouraged to send us those details in. If this is a repeat, this is the end of today's show. So thank you very much for joining us. And remember that we're on every week on Revelation TV. It's been fantastic seeing you guys today. Thank you very much and see you soon. God bless. Bye.